When my best ain't enough, I wanna rest, but I'm too tough. My body's aching for sleep without disturbing dreams. My mask is showing its cracks, a broken smile intact. I'm good at playing pretend around both strangers and friends. I'm stuck on an endless merry-go-round. A cyclone of racing thoughts that never stop. And I just wanna feel better, but I can't get out of my head. I don't know what I'll do instead. I just wanna feel better. Will it always be this way? Am I doomed? Is this my fate? My depression, it sucks out all the joy of what I love. Ravenous black hole consuming all that I know. I could scream my lungs dry, punch through walls till I cry. Bloody knuckles, red eyes, oh my. I'm stuck on an endless merry-go-round. A cyclone of racing thoughts that never stop. And I just wanna feel better, but I can't get out of my head. I don't know what I'll do instead. I just wanna feel better. Will it always be this way? Am I doomed? Is this my fate? I just wanna feel better. I just wanna feel better. I just wanna feel better, but I can't get out of my head. I don't know what I'll do instead. I just wanna feel better. Will it always be this way? Am I doomed? Is this my fate? I just wanna feel better. I just wanna feel better. I just wanna feel better. Will it always be this way? Am I doomed? Is this my fate?
What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Welcome to Men Caring for Men. Long time no see. It's been a hot minute since I've been in this seat on this show. Of course, it's also been a hot minute since the show has been live.
It's been a couple weeks. Yeah.
Somebody sucks as a host. I won't mention any names. You're muted, right?
Yeah. His life his schedule has changed. Things have come new to his life, and he's fulfilling more priority roles. Can't blame him too hard about it.
It's because Connor sucks.
Connor sucks.
Because Connor sucks.
I'll say it, no shame.
Yeah. Welcome to Men Caring for Men here on the Nonsensical Network. If you're not already, go ahead and check us out. We are everywhere. You can check out all the other shows. We got something going on here Monday through Sunday, with the exception of being the holidays week. Up in the air this week. Only thing I know for sure is definitely no show tomorrow night. Obviously, being Christmas Eve, kind of hard to book guests.
I'm not doing anything.
That's because the host sucks.
The host sucks too.
You're also not a musician. Neither one of you are musicians, so it kind of defeats the purpose of Glick's House of Music having you guys.
No, I don't play any instruments. I can air drum like a fucking champ, though.
I hear from some people you play a mean skin flute.
I knew somebody was going to go there. No, not
I
somebody.
was, but I was going to aim it at Jeff because he's not here yet.
There you go.
It was a softball that was thrown up. It had to be hit. It wasn't the greatest, but it had to be done.
You know a whole lot about softballs, huh?
Huh? You know,
Softball,
do what I can.
cock,
Not all heroes wear capes, buddy. But
some of them. Never mind. I was going to make a game.
No, make sure you guys check us out and give us a follow everywhere. Shows are live. You can listen Monday through Sunday live. Get in the chatters box. What's up, Wally? We see you. I don't know if you did a show or not tonight. But you can also listen anytime, any place. Go over to our bio link, bio.link/nonsensical network. You're going to find all those links. And if you've been there before and you check it out again, you might notice a brand new link up there. There's a brand new link to Beauty and the Beard Creative Corner, which is Nikki's shop. Some of you guys seen my hoodie Saturday night, and some of you guys may have seen the shout-out video I did for her. So, definitely hit her up. You want some hoodies, some shirts, some cups made, just tell her what you want, and she'll get it to you.
Your ego is so big, you couldn't even let her have her own clothing shop.
I'm not the one who named it. She did. It's her shop.
You got to be included in everything, don't you?
I didn't. I had nothing to do with the naming of her shop.
Captain One-Upper over here.
I had nothing to do with her shop at all. Oh, well, let me rephrase that. The only thing I did for her shop was buy everything she needed to get started.
Yeah. Oh, there's the big part. I bought everything. She would be a
nothing.
business if it wasn't for me.
It's not for me. It's for her.
I'm teasing, bro.
I bought all the big stuff. I bought the most important piece that you need.
Which is what? Her mind? You didn't buy that.
Forget, or whatever it's called.
Like, I contributed my cock.
What didn't I buy? Oh, I didn't buy the printer. That printer's worthless without a heat press.
See? You suck.
I have vaginas. Never mind.
Either way, they're trying to say that I had to be a part of the name.
Got you in trouble, and we're only 5 minutes into the show.
Like it's called like in Nikki's Creative Corner. Not like I'd have my name on it.
I'm pretty sure anytime we do a show, I can manage to get Glick in some shit about something.
Nice, Wally. As always, we're going to keep to the tradition here on Monday night. It is an open panel, so anybody who's listening is welcome to come up and partake in the show. The link is in the chat. No, all I'm doing is just trying to support her and help her do her thing. I told her, I said, that's your thing. Do what you got to do. However, if people would like to have shirts or whatever made with network stuff on it, why not put her to work?
Hell yeah.
You talk a real big game when I got double what fours loaded. Enjoy it. Enjoy your freedom. You only got a couple more weeks.
Then what happens?
Donald Trump goes in the office and women lose all their rights.
Oh boy. That's gonna cause mass depression.
So what's going on, Benj? So anywho, tonight, one of the reasons I wanted to come up here, I mean, obviously there hasn't been a show in 3 weeks. And I wanted to make sure something was going on here. And I know Wally's been busy as well. Blah, blah, blah. You right upside your head. And I know Wally's been doing stuff. So he's been a little sidetracked. He hasn't been able to do his show. I will not do his show because I don't know anything. I know a little bit about reptiles. I don't know anything about motorsports other than you got a car or a motorcycle that goes meow, 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 meow really fast.
Doesn't always go in circles. See, you already don't know shit. They don't always go in circles.
I just said it meow, meow, meow. So all I'm doing is a straight line because that's what I see when I'm watching. Just cars going fast by me or motorcycles. About the only thing I know motorsports wise is monster truck.
And all he knows is they got motors.
All I know is that they're big, they're loud, and they're fun as hell to watch. And it's an excellent event to get drunk at. Excellent event to get drunk at. A little Monster Jam, a little drinky drink.
Jammy jam.
Plus, for the cost, I think Monster Jam's still one of the most fan interactive, and you're not going to have to take out a second mortgage on your house to be able to get down into the pit and meet the drivers. And
unless you go to the one in Atlanta, and then you got to take out a second mortgage just to be able to park.
Oh yeah, if you go to like Atlanta or Vegas or something like that, one of their big shows. But
you got to take out a mortgage just to park.
Yeah, sounds like you're in New York.
It cost me $45 to park the last time I took the kids to Monster Jam.
Jesus.
They were 4 and 5, and I wanted to park close enough so they weren't walking 4 fucking miles to get there. It cost me $45 to park across the street.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with motorsports at all. I enjoy, I'll go watch drag racing. I'll go watch motocross. I'll go watch, I've been to a NASCAR event in probably 20 years. I just don't know all the inner workings and all that stuff about it. I'm not as passionate about it as I am with like football, but nonetheless, I wanted to. The guys said that they'd be willing to come up here with me, and I want to talk. Since it is the holiday season and it is getting cold, and two things that really affect people this time of year. It's kind of a double whammy. You get the holiday depression and the seasonal depression.
The cold makes your wiener small, so you get tiny pecker syndrome too.
This is true too.
Some of us, it's an everyday thing, so you don't know any different.
This is also a fact as well.
Got a little humor in it.
Yeah. Seasonal depression's better known as what is it? Seasonal affective disorder or something like that.
What's that?
Seasonal affective disorder. SAD.
Oh, okay. I have heard of that.
It is a real diagnosis, so it's not like some TikTok made up thing. I didn't know that until a few years back.
There's a lot of things.
I was not in therapy. I have a friend who's a therapist, and we were talking. We were just chit chatting, and she was like, "Yeah, that's a real thing." And I was like, "Is it really?"
Well, if you think about it, it makes sense because the vitamin D you get from the sun creates serotonin, which is your feeling of happiness. And if there's less sun, you have less hours of sunlight, you're getting less vitamin D, so you're getting less serotonin.
Yeah.
So I already
scientifical.
Yeah.
No, you're right. I take a vitamin D supplement once a week for my to stem my depression.
His name's Dave, by the way.
His name is Dave. Yeah. Dave the vitamin D pill. But yeah, that's vitamin D does help because during the winters the nights get longer and the days get shorter. And I found that out when I lived in Alaska. My first winter there was.
Oh God, I couldn't imagine. You do what? They do what? Like almost 40 days of dark, technically.
Yeah, it's a lot of dark. And that's when I realized that. That's when my coping mechanism with alcohol really came to fruition.
They say that it's statistically seasonal depression is worse in the north than it is in the south because though we do lose leaves on a lot of our trees, we don't have nearly as many leafy trees down here. We have mostly pines and they maintain color all year long. And we still have the warmer temperatures that allow us to still be able to go outside and spend more time outside in relatively decent weather.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, that's it's a lot to do with the shorter days, longer nights, like you guys said. Unfortunately, we lose everything up here in the wintertime.
That's the north, man.
I mean, we got pine trees and stuff, but it's funny because there's I joke around. I call we don't have quote unquote mountains in Ohio unless you get down to southern Ohio, down along the Appalachian, whatever you want to say, whatever your preference is. I don't care. I'm not going to argue with you about it. But there's a great big hill over here that when I'm sitting on the porch, I can see. And in the summertime and springtime, it's beautiful because it's all filled in and it's all. But then in the wintertime, when you look over there, it's just looks like something out
It's
of a
barren.
movie.
Yeah.
Yep. It's just barren, and that barren brown. I mean, when you think blah colors, you think browns and grays and shit like that. So the weather automatically, we've established the weather plays a huge factor into seasonal depression. And
I think another thing that plays a factor, and I don't think, and it's something that I didn't know for the longest time. And I mean, I think we know it, but we don't think about it during the holiday seasons. A lot of our drinking increases, and alcohol is a depressant. You compound that with the season, you compound that with the stress of the holidays. It can, drinking can definitely be a huge factor.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's that, and you find yourself inside more often than you do in the spring and summertime. So for a lot of people, being cooped up inside, I know I'm guilty of it. Being cooped up and falling into
grab a beer and hit the couch.
Yeah, well, not necessarily that, but you fall into that routine of you go to work and you come home. You can't really do anything outside, so you're not getting outside much. Gives you a lot of free time to get inside your own damn head and start overthinking shit.
And if you're somebody prone to rumination, that can come to a crisis for some people.
Yeah, I mean, it can, and depending on what the deciding factors going on in your life at that moment are. When I got divorced in the dead of, I got divorced officially in June, but when I moved out, it was middle of January. So I moved out and went from, I moved 900 miles to be with what's now my family, my ex-wife and my kids. So when I moved out, I was 900 miles away from home, 900 miles away from the friends who I had literally known since I was 5 years old, because I come from a small town that I went to school with all these kids since I started school. I didn't have any friends when I moved out. She was the reason I was here. So I move out and I move into a place where I've got nothing, just silence. And that's when you develop the ability to understand the term silence is deafening.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So it's, again, the things you're dealing with in your life at that time play a huge role in how you handle this particular time of year. And I don't even think so much it's November and December as much as it's probably January and February. On that,
also keep your health up. I know we like to indulge more into some desserts and sugars, but health has a lot to do with it. I like how Benji had made a comment about it's cold here today, but like here it's cold here today, but next week we're going to be back in the 60s. That weather fluctuation, colds going around. So yeah, definitely keep your health about you as much as possible.
Oh yeah.
Keep hydrated. Keep hydrated. As funny as that sounds.
Hydration is the key factor.
I've been sucking down these fucking Pepsi Zeros the last couple days. Not a good idea.
Pepsi Zero.
But I don't want people to ignore those comfort things that bring happiness to you during the holiday seasons. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I think, like, this is when I indulge in those extra sweets and stuff. Like, I'm going to make some candied bacon tonight. Not something I do all the time. That just helps lift the spirit. So there's nothing wrong with that, too. A little bit of indulgence isn't too bad.
Well, those are things that you find, like comforting, or, like they say, during the fall and winter months, people eat a lot more quote unquote comfort foods.
Yeah. Yes.
Like your soups and whatnot. Because a lot of people get enjoyment out of actually making it as well.
Yes, I'm somebody who would prefer making homemade hot chocolate than that Swiss Miss packet shit.
Yeah.
And I'll take the time and I'll do that too. And I don't know. I like doing stuff like that because it takes time and it's helps keep maintain on your patience level, I guess. I don't know. Welcome back, Rick.
Sorry,
to
my
keep-
phone keeps ringing.
Try to keep your mind right. Obviously, like you said, Blaze, to kind of touch on what you said, that'll kind of get into another topic I'm going to talk about tonight as well. But around the holidays, a lot of people are doing a lot more drinking, a lot more quote unquote celebrating, and everything like that. And as we all know, alcohol is technically a downer. It's a depressant. So if you're already kind of feeling blah, and your head's out of sync or out of whack, and you start adding all that drinking on top of it, it just sends you down into a little bit deeper hole.
Take into consideration, you may not realize it at the time because you may be hanging out with friends or family and having drinks with them and carrying on, and not even paying any attention. But at some point, that night slows down and comes to a close. And that's when you're sitting there, whether it be slightly or fully intoxicated, and you're sitting there left with your own thoughts in the quiet and the slowdown of the end of the night. And a lot of people, they fail to realize, they're like, oh yeah, well, I can go out drinking with my buddies and it'll be a good time and I'll be just fine. Well, drinking with your buddies and stuff ends at some point and you end up there drunk by yourself.
Yeah.
And that's always a real fun time.
Sometimes I'll be honest with you, and you know this from when I first met you, and I hit it very, very well. When I first met you on TikTok, I was severely depressed and drinking routinely every single day. And sure, it was all fun and games when I was online. And then when the night ended and I wasn't live streaming and people had stopped chit-chatting with me for the night afterwards, I was left by myself intoxicated in an empty house.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, one of my darkest times, and so when my ex-wife and I split, the moment we did, it was like literally right before Thanksgiving of 2018. And it was also there right before COVID started. So right after that holiday season is when there was a lot of separating. And so like through that holiday season, I didn't get to see my kids, and then that shit happened. And that was a very long winter that season. And my drinking definitely increased. Like it was not good. Probably some of my worst drinking times. Barbecue therapy. Dude, I am not against barbecue therapy. What's up, Brian?
Well, and that's, to go with what Brian just said, that's something that, you got to find something that you enjoy doing that can occupy that dark part of your brain. And, I found through the years, I found a lot of that. Some things last, some things don't. I found one of my favorite things to do when I'm just chilling and it's just me and I don't feel like watching mindless TV, or I'll put the TV on in the background, especially this time of year when I have more time inside than I do outside. During the summertime, I'll go out on the porch after work and I'll sit down and I'll drink a beer and I'll put my audio book on through my Bluetooth speaker. I like my audiobooks. I listen to a lot of books. But this time of year, I always have music on in the background. And I don't know, sometimes you guys might hear it over me or whatever, but I always have music playing in my house. Not just for me, but for the dog, because it keeps him from hearing all the noises during the day when nobody's here and driving himself banana batshit crazy. But I've found that getting some of those adult coloring books. The adult coloring books is supposed to be phenomenal for your mental health. They have some really interesting, neat ones that are like tattoo books.
I was about to say, what are adult coloring books?
I don't have.
Where are we going with that?
I don't have one handy right now, but it's like basically take a piece of flash from your tattoo shop and you get to color it the way you want to color it.
Oh, okay.
It's more adult themed instead of getting like the Smurfs or some shit like that. You get something a little more adult themed to color your way. Like I have one that I colored that's like it's got the veins and ventricles of a heart, but the actual heart itself is made of a grenade.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of stuff like that. Or another thing, call it bead art, diamond art, gem art, whatever you want to call it. That's another thing. It's like a paint by number, but instead of putting paint on there, you have a little, like a pen. I actually have one sitting here right next to me. You have a little acrylic pen that normally has an attachment on it, and you pick up little plastic beads with like wax on the tip, and you set them on the individual number you want, and it makes a whole picture by the time you're done. And yet again, I don't have anything here. Oh, here's my daughter has one right here that she hasn't finished. But like, here's all the little bead things.
Okay, I've seen my niece do one of those. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have one handy that's completed, but
I got a buddy of mine that does that like religiously now. That's been part of his therapy.
Yeah, finding hobbies.
You can find hops
beers.
too.
Finding hoppy beers is amazing. No, finding hobbies that keep you occupied and interested in and stuff is a good way to fill those gaps where we're inside more. Absolutely, video games I know is a big one. I hate the fact that people discredit video games. I'm not a big video game person, especially when it comes in like online multiplayers like COD and shit like that. But I see the utility in them and allowing people to come together in an otherwise situation where they couldn't because of weather and they're stuck inside. And I think stuff like that is amazing as long as the internet doesn't go down. But yeah.
Well, here's the situation that we're running into currently with that is this current generation, and I can tell you because I see it with my kids, and Glick probably has seen it with his. My kids will sit in the same room as their friends, feet apart, and text each other instead of having a conversation verbally face to face. Yeah,
well, that's fine. I mean, it's different.
It takes away from their in-person social skills.
My daughters do that.
I don't think it's taking away. I think it's interpersonal relationship or skills evolving over time because technology does impact the way we exist in a society, and over time as technology we change. I mean, like we do this, and instead of meeting at the bar or talking on the phone, or so I mean, I hate to. I don't like to sit there and wag my finger and say they're wrong for doing it. It's just a different way of communicating. I don't necessarily think anything's wrong with it.
The problem is it's taking away from, and this is my opinion, it takes away from their ability to socialize in a in-person situation. Because when you're talking to somebody on a video game, and we all know it because we all grew up and we've all played online games, you can say whatever the fuck you want. And there's no repercussions for it. You can say whatever you want, and there can be all the praise in the world. You can be. Brad Paisley wrote a country song about it. I'm so much cooler online. You can be anybody you want to be online, but when you have to interact in person, like when we were all 14. Think about it. 14 years old. Think way back. Blaze, I don't know how old you are, but think back to when you were 14 years old. How many weekends were you sitting at home by yourself with your parents? Almost
not
never.
A lot.
You were out with your buddies.
Or by myself doing something.
Mom, can you drop me off at Billy's house? Mom, can you drop me off at we still had skating rinks up north. I don't know if you guys did. My kids, my son at 13 years old has had one sleepover in his life. My daughter has had 2 sleepovers with her girlfriends at 14 years old. They don't even ever want to go and hang out with their friends. They would rather get on Fortnite or COD or Minecraft from their own respectable houses and talk to each other.
Yeah.
And I just think that's a huge burden on the social skills of society. Because how are you going to meet a woman? How are you going to procreate? How are you going to make friends in the real world if you don't have the ability to talk to people face to face?
I'm sure AI will figure it out before long.
That's why I don't have.
You're probably not wrong.
I don't know. I think technology just lends another avenue of communication.
But in that same breath, and not necessarily me or you guys, but I think a lot of parents have let their kids take it a little too far, where it's what they've become reliant on.
Reliant in how we were reliant on like the telephone when we were teenagers, talking to our friends on the phone. And
I could do that. I didn't have that, but I lived in a small town, so all my buddies and I, we were all a 6-minute walk from each other. I grew up as a military brat, so I went to school a lot on army posts. Okay.
And like the friends I would hang out with at school might live a couple like housing areas over.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was like, hey, let's call Billy up. Hey, Billy, what are you up to? You got free time? Oh, no, man, it's almost dinner time. It's like, all right, man, I'll catch you later or whatnot. I mean, we had our curfews.
But you would still walk over and knock on a door if you were close enough, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
My kids won't. My kids don't have the balls to walk up and knock on a door on Halloween.
You know, sometimes I don't think that's our kids' fault. I think that was some of our generation's reaction to scary news stories that put the kibosh on trick-or-treating in a lot of places. I think
they got put
that
in your
over
face
time
because of modern day technology and social media.
Well, no, like they're putting drugs in the candy, they're killing our kids.
We heard about that growing up. Our parents all had to inspect our candy.
Yeah, and there was a lot of I hate to say it, satanic panic about shit like that. And that actually put, like, there was towns that actually outlawed Halloween trick-or-treating because of stuff like that. And I think, you know, as we got older, we just, you know, in some places, like I took my kids trick-or-treating, but I know in some places you go, it's not really a thing. It's not practiced much. I think it's all kind of where you're at. So.
Yeah.
Like where I'm at right now, like, so when I was in Oregon, we take our kids trick-or-treating, knock on doors, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Here in Kentucky, it's you take your kids to trunk or treat.
Yes.
In other words, you go to churches and schools and yada, yada, yada. Yeah.
Fire department, stuff like that. We never had that growing up. Our parents were like, don't get kidnapped.
Yeah, but it depends on the mentality of that area you're living in. Because I think the area I live in, like, fear is this thing that really puts the kibosh on having fun sometimes, I think.
I agree.
I don't know. I don't have that problem with my kids. My son, he's always outside running around with his friends. You know, there's times if the weather's shitty, his one friend will come in and they play Xbox together, but like his friend will be in Cash's room and Cash will be in the living room. And I'm like,
that's different though, because they could literally get up. If you said, okay, no more Xbox, go outside, they're going to go outside together and hang out.
Yeah. Well, I've made the comment before, like, doesn't, I can't remember the little kid's name. I'm like, doesn't he have his own Xbox at his house? And Cash, then they want to argue with me. They'll be like, yeah, but it's not as fun because we can't actually talk to each other. I'm like, yeah, they make this thing called a headset, but they want to be around each other while they're playing. Like, I bet you if I was able to put a second TV in his room with a second Xbox, they would sit in there and play together. They don't want to be at each other's house. And my oldest daughter, she's always at her friend's house. Man, her little circle of friends, they are literally together. She left Friday. She just came home today.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, so I've never seen that with my kids. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just because, you know, now like if they're in for the night or whatever, Cash will be watching TikToks or YouTube.
My
or whatever.
kids have a helicopter mom, so
my middle daughter, you know, it's a little bit harder for her to hang out with her friends. That's just because, you know, we live in one town and they go to school in another town, and you know, it's almost a half hour away. But any opportunity she gets where she can go spend the night with her friends, or one of her friends can come over here, they're doing it. Yeah, man, trick or treat has never been an issue here. That's one of my kids' favorite things to do. I'm like, the town where my family's from, it's gotten bigger, you know, over the years, especially in the last couple of years. But it's still the same. It's got the same feel. Like everybody knows everybody. You know, like my kids are third generation, and they go.
I think all that plays into the start, though. Like, think about it. Halloween marks basically the start of the seasonal depression season.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, I think it starts right after Halloween because Halloween rocks ass, and then all the holidays that come after and before suck.
But at that point, like, think about it though. At Halloween point, the days are getting shorter. The leaves are coming off the trees. You know, everything's getting more barren. The temperatures are getting colder.
Yeah,
you know, especially up north. You know, I think in my personal opinion, Halloween marks the start of the seasonal depression season, and Easter to me probably marks the end.
That's the time during fall solstice. So that's when it starts getting more, or the abundance of darkness is more than light.
And that's what that's basically what a lot of the experts say is around the time that and even now it's starting to become hit or miss. So you can't even really call it that because I mean, hell, we were still in the 70s in October here. You know, our quote unquote warm days are, you know, it's getting longer, but because I had to break like one of my rules where, you know, cash is supposed to come in when the street lights come on, and it's still 70 degrees out in October, and the kids are all outside still playing, but it's already dark at 5 o'clock, and I'm like, you know what? As long as you guys are right here, have at it.
Yeah. Like when I lived in the last house I was in, they had street light to street light was my rule in the dark. As long as you didn't go past either street light, which was like 3 driveways worth of space on a road that didn't see a lot of traffic. You know, my kids, they were forever down. We'd have 6-8 kids at a time hanging out in the fucking street in front of the house, just chilling, doing, you know,
that's what the, you know, quote unquote experts say, you know, and basically what it is, I mean, to really kind of dumb it down if you want to, when things start to die off outside, basically the leaves are falling, this, that, and the other thing, you know, is the beginning of it. And then once everything starts to come back to life and you start to see the blooms and, you know, and everything like that, you start to feel a little bit better. But I mean, there's a lot of options out there, you know, that you can do when you start feeling that, the cold weather blues, man.
Blaze has got one going on right now.
Yeah,
his doggo. You know, my doggo is he's my best pal. You know, he's my ride or die.
I would say my doggo, but that bitch was back here a few minutes ago. She was biting my knees and my elbow for no reason.
Mine's over here. I got 2 of them out on his couch.
I got 2 of them that follow me around.
You deserve it.
Mine's over here passed out on the fucking couch like a bum ass bitch.
I wish mine would go lay down and pass the fuck out.
Yeah, I would like to throw her out on the street so I can start the rise of my otter army.
Sometimes my arm just sits here and she comes up and she'll like take her head and she'll nuzzle my arm
right underneath your arm, or they lick you. They lick your elbow or your forearm.
Yeah. Molly will. I have a bed sets down low. I have a low bed frame, and like her feeding time, she used to eating at 8:30 in the morning and by 3:30 in the afternoon. And 8:30, if I'm asleep, she'll come over and she'll like nuzzle my shoulder, like, "Hey, wake up, feed me, asshole."
Yeah. I tell Taylor what's going outside. Hey, wake up! I need to go pee, and I can't go pee unless you get up and let me go pee. So, but and I think a lot of this, to go back to the antisocial skills that these kids are developing, I think a lot of it's creating depression in younger kids too. I shouldn't say antisocial. Let me
I was like, because I mean, they're still socializing. It's just socializing different.
Lack of social skills and the ability to pick up on social cues is creating a different. My 14-year-old daughter cries and says she has anxiety attacks. At 14, I didn't know what the fucking anxiety attack was.
Well, everybody.
She might be though. I mean, it's plausible.
But again, when we were that age, that wasn't a thing. And I had this discussion with my dad.
I know that's not true. I got mental health issues from when I was in my teens.
I just don't think we knew.
Like I was having anxiety attacks and stuff when I was an adolescent. So I mean, I think just to like cast them off because somebody is young, I think that doesn't do them any justice.
But like I hear these, and she talks about it all the time. You know, she's got friends that at 12, 13, 14 years old that are claiming that they're suicidal. And it's like, life hasn't even punched you in the mouth yet. Like, your parents are happily married. You come from a good home. And I know these kids and I know their parents. You come from a good home. You have a pretty good life. You have friends at school. You have friends I've seen you hang out with outside of school. You have relatively what you would call your typical American life. I don't know what is causing that mental disconnect that is causing a 13-year-old kid to say, I just want to eat a bullet.
Well, I've said this before, and I'm not saying this is the whole situation. You know, the upside of mental health, and especially men's mental health, as that's what this show's about, but the upside about mental health and whatnot is that it is becoming more talked about. It is becoming more of a, up front. People know more about it. Whereas when we were kids, even the doctors didn't know a whole lot about it. So you see a kid that's acting out, you're not going to go, oh, well, clearly they're depressed or they have anxiety, or, you're just going to, again, talking to some friends and stuff like that are way smarter than I am and more, they're closer to the field and work in the field and whatnot. But the downside with it becoming more relevant and more people knowing about it, unfortunately, there's a lot of people, and these what these kids are seeing on social media, that use mental health issues as a way to get clicks and likes and views. And
no,
they glorify it.
Yeah,
there's definitely some. I agree. There's probably some fake. There's probably people using it for clout. I don't disagree. I just don't think we should just, a kid in your life that's, has suicidal idealization. I don't think we should just dismiss it because they're young.
Well, and I'm not saying that. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's the good thing is that's why I said it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because we do know more about it these days. So people are able to recognize signs a lot, because at 12 years old, you could, looking back on it now, I've been dealing with anxiety and depression a good chunk of my life, and a few times I've been in therapy. Just therapy's not for me. It's not for everybody. Plus, I'm not big on the drugs to fix my mood. Like, give me another way to do it. I don't want to. That's a me thing. To each their own. Everybody's different. But yeah, I mean, that's the good thing. That's the positive thing. The negative thing is that unfortunately there are YouTubers and TikTokers that use it for clout, and our kids see it, and there might not be anything wrong with the kids, but they see these people getting attention from it, so then they want to go, well, I have anxiety, I have depression, and that's why I'm being a little shithead, because that's what these TikTokers and YouTubers do. Every time they do something illegal or they get caught up in some fuckery, they're like, oh, it's because of my, oh man, I've been dealing with depression and da-da-da-da, and that's why I'm 35 and I'm talking to 12-year-old little girls on the internet. No, it's not. You're just a fucking perv.
Yeah.
But now you're making people with mental health disorders look bad, because now everybody's going to go, here comes the stigma again. Oh, you got mental health disorders. That means, you're a kid toucher. There's the positives and the negatives. Fortunately, I think the positives definitely outweigh the negatives these days. I think back when we were growing up, I think the biggest problem was just people didn't really know what or how to really deal with it in kids. But also,
I can agree with that.
Also, with the antisocial or the personable social skills, how much of that falls back onto the parents?
Actually, it falls. I think not all of it. I think it has to do with media consumption, both in the preview of the parent site and outside the preview of the parent site. I think it has to do with social interactions at school. If they're of working age at work, it's not just it's the parents' fault. There's
I think,
like
but I do think
a person's identity or who we become over time is not just because my parents. It definitely has
I think the
big part
parents
about
slapping
it.
an electronic device in their hand as a babysitter plays a huge role into it. And I'll
agree.
confidently, I will confidently
agree.
say, looking at other people in public with their kids, seeing the posts on Facebook and stuff, it's probably, I'd say it's probably an 80-20 split of parents. 80% of parents will just as soon slap a phone in their kids' hand. And they do it as babies, 18 months old. They put something like Bluey on their phone and they just hand their phone to their kid. And you've all seen it sitting in a restaurant, out at the mall, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
Instead of interacting with the child or having the child interact with children around them, they'll just, here you go. Here you go. You just take this and watch something. And the mindless shit that they watch on their phones, and I say this because I have a 13-year-old and a 14-year-old. The mindless trash, brain rot things they watch on their phones or on the TVs with YouTube. YouTube, as great as it is, as great as it was for our generation growing up, has literally, in my personal opinion, destroyed the brains of almost everybody under the age of 19 years old.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of good things on YouTube too.
There
I think
is.
but
they don't look it up.
Maybe it's because they don't know how to look it up. I mean, we're only as good as how much information we have access to.
If they can find something named
how we know how to
Skibbity Toilet, I think they can find how to change the tire on my pickup truck.
Well, also that's not trendy. Nobody wants to.
I think somebody can do both. That's
I just had this trendy conversation with my son tonight, who's mad because he has an Xbox One, and when he's here, he plays on my PlayStation 4 more than he plays on my PlayStation 5. And his constant gripe is, my stuff's outdated. It's laggy. I can't keep up with my friends. I can't keep up with the streamers that I watch online. Bro,
well, that's just
if your whole life is going to be about keeping up with the Joneses, you're in for a very, very big disappointment.
This comment's a little bit adjacent to that, not exactly reflexive of it, but how much as parents when we're raising our children, are we raising them to be an independent person of their own making or thoughts or stuff, or how much are we projecting how we want our kids to be? I think some parents try to project their values on their children. It's like, oh, they're my children. This is the way they have to live their life. And if they do anything outside of that, it's like, I think there's some of that too on the parent side.
I can agree with that to an extent. Like, my push on my kids is not because I want them to be a certain way. What I want is them to not turn out like me, but be better than me.
And now, do you think that is? But all right, you want them to be better than you. See, I understand that as a parent, I want my kids to be better than me. But at the end of the day, that is my subjective opinion on what that better is. If my kid feels that the way they live their life is just better for them, period, I think that to me, I think is more important than this subjective opinion that, what's better is not how what I feel is better for them
may not be better for them.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And that's what I mean by, are we projecting what we think is better and they're not living by that, but what they're living by is better for them. And are we conflating those ideas?
I think that goes to an extent. You're right there, but I think, like in my case, and I like to believe this as I try my best to do it. The things that I push them to be better at than I was are things that I know have haunted me from doing poorly as I was their age. That
But
still
see,
haunt me now, like bad grades, for example. I graduated high school by the skin of my teeth.
Yeah.
It's taken me till I'm 38 years old to make the kind of money that I make now. And I've been in an industry, the same industry, since 2008. I want better for them, which ultimately at the end of the day means they need to do better in school than I did. Because as I've gotten older, I've learned, generally speaking, except in rare cases, the better you come out of school, the more opportunities are open to you upon exit.
Yeah, there's some truth to that. Yeah.
Like, so I push on my daughter, especially because she's the worst. My son has great grades. My daughter does not. And this is what blows my mind. And I don't know where the mental disconnect is with them. I understand this generation is lazy. Ideally, they're a lazy generation.
Actually, to be fair, each generation has gotten, and well, depending on what modern country you live in, has gotten more and more lazy over time. Again, because of technology. Like our generation, like I'm 47, our generation, if you're in my generation, we were lazier than our parents. And then our parents' generation, they were lazier than theirs. So this idea of saying, oh, our kids are lazier than us, well, that's just a product of society itself.
Correct.
So to blame them, like wag our finger at them because they're lazier than us, even though they have more access to technologies in different ways than we do, I don't think is a reflection on them in a negative way. I think
the level of lazy is different in the aspect of, and my daughter did it, and my friend Len and his daughter did it too. My daughter had 11 missing homework assignments. She did them all. 2 weeks later, those homework assignments were still missing. And I said, Peyton, why do these still show as missing assignments? You literally did them with me. Well, I carried them around in my backpack. You didn't turn them in? No. Why didn't you turn in the work you put the time and effort into doing?
Yeah,
Where
so
that's now?
That's not laziness. That's not laziness. That's not lazy because she did the work. That's time. That's time management and priority goal setting. That's not so much laziness. Because I mean, because I think laziness. I think a lot of times when we talk about laziness, we talk laziness in the production of work or producing something. I think in a lot of ways, and this goes for my generation and older generations, in some ways, I think there's a laziness aspect when it comes to cognitive thought and critical thinking and understanding ideas. So,
and all of this stems to creating, but it's encouraged by the school. These kids don't get marked off points when they're late on assignments now. As long as it's in by the end of the marking period, it still can count for a normal grade. Mine got marked off every day it was late until it reached the point of failing, and then they wouldn't accept it anymore. So basically, we're telling these kids that it's okay to be lazy and not do that work as long as you get it to me at some point. We'll still accept it, and it'll be normal deal. And so creating that lack of urgency in them doing things creates a complacent mentality in my mind, which is it's a lot of it'll work out. It'll work out. It'll work out. It'll be that way. And that's going to lead to further problems later on down the road.
I do what you just said right there, that idea, it'll just work out. I agree with that. I do see that in society, and I do see that in some of how that can be learned in our public schools, and actually in a lot of form of even private schools. There's this idea of conformity, and I think in some ways that plays into it. Like we're go ahead. Reformulate that thought.
I think that in my mind, it starts at the school level. The schools are creating a lack of urgency, which in turn is creating a newer, different level of laziness per se.
A lack of
And
urgency in what? Just getting work done?
if you okay, so if and getting work done. If they're not getting marked
Mhm.
off points and they have till the end of the marking period, say from the second day, that's 2 months to get this thing done and get the same grade you would have got had you turned it in the same day. So where's your urgency to get this done if you're not going to be punished for it? You know, like at work, if I didn't get my route done every day, I'm not going to have a job. So there is a constant sense of urgency among my day to get my stuff done, which I think having that sense of urgency also creates a feeling of now I have to formulate this one right.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
It's like a feeling of
Having discussions off the cuff that will happen.
yeah. It's like almost like a sense of worth, a feeling of value, because you're expected to get this done by a certain point in time, and if you don't, then your value drops. And when your value in the working real world reaches a certain low point, you don't have a value and they let you go and you don't have a job. You know what I'm saying? So getting it done with that sense of urgency elevates your sense of your level of value, and feeling inside that you hold a value. Well, at the end of the day, helps to create that positive mental frame of mind.
Okay.
So like I put in years and years and years in the line of work that I'm in, and I finally just took a promotion that starts January 1, where I'm looking at upwards of a $15,000 a year pay increase. That's a significant increase, but it allowed me to feel like I'm valued at my company now.
I think Glick's having some audio problems. Oh, you're good. Okay.
You got on the screen twice for a second.
You had touched on the idea of value, a person's value. I think, and this is just from talking to the younger generation, I think a lot of them have this feeling that they're being told by society that their only worth and value in life is if they work. Like that is their value in life.
Is their level of production.
Work. And I think that's, and I understand how, if you sit there and think about that, how that can be, that in itself can destroy a person's psyche, because you're like, I'm born in this world. I go through, I get an education, I become an adult, and then everybody tells me, well, your worth is only valued at how much you produce and get paid. And I think, I'm not saying work isn't something that should be done. I just think I think the younger generations don't look at work as a virtue as like older generations do. They look at it more as something that should be done when it's necessary, but it's not something I should live my life to do.
They don't feel like they should live to work to be able to work to live.
Correct.
So, and I think a lot of that goes back to generations before us, goes back to our grandfathers who busted their asses and created that mantra. And this is, we're finally starting to get away from the get your ass back in the kitchen and make me a sandwich because that's where you belong mentality from the, early 1900s through probably I'd say about the 1950s of that Susie homemaker, but the man's out there bringing home the bread. We're getting away from that. However, I think that our grandfathers set such a high bar of what's expected in the production aspect that it hasn't dropped to match where it actually needs to be based on a two breadwinner household. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think the idea of us, man, I'm so glad you brought this up. Man, this has nothing to do with freaking seasonal depression, but this is such a great topic.
I know, but it all stems down to what causes that could lead into depression.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It creates a mental strain.
Yeah. So, and okay.
I'm sorry, Glick.
No, and that's actually a good
point. You're good.
I want to bring this back to seasonal depression. I think because we're expected to participate in Christmas the way it is today, causes extra stress, especially when we have an economy the way we have for decades, the way you're judged on the amount of
the number
presents,
of presents,
or am I
amount.
getting to the Black Friday? Am I getting that sale? It's like the holiday seasons hit, and a lot of us like ramp up the hamster wheel. And I think, and when we don't feel those expectations, I think we get hard on ourselves. And I think it's like this self-made guilt almost from like this manufactured consent.
And this might be a little off kilter. And I believe you said your divorced place,
mm-hmm.
and Glick, you're split from your kid's mother.
Yeah.
How many, and you may not have ever done this, but how many Christmases did you worry, am I doing enough for them to look at me still like I'm as good as the other parent who may be doing more?
How old's my oldest? 19? Yeah, 19 of them.
So you, in the back of your mind, you're always worrying, did I get enough stuff? Did I get the right stuff? Is their mom going to outdo me without me actually knowing? You know, is she going to come up with this one huge elaborate gift that I couldn't afford, but she managed to pull it out of her ass, whether it be by herself or with help or whatever like that? Am I going to be outdone? So that sits in the back of my psyche all day long, every day. And that's why, like, this time of year is tough, because for me, my hours tend to drop off this time of year because construction slows. But I still need to try to make that money to provide that good Christmas, what I consider. And I know it's not the number of gifts under the tree or the dollar amounts and stuff like that. And as the kids get older, you know, Glick's got a 19-year-old, mine are 13 and 14, and they've made it clear, you know, Dad, it doesn't matter what you get us. Anything you get us is going to be good. You know, they've reached that age. But when they were younger and their brains were new shiny toys, new shiny toys, new shiny toys, you didn't, almost as a split household, you didn't want to be outdone by the other parent, so you put more stress on yourself than you already needed. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. No, I understand exactly what you mean. And I think I know I've said this before on this show. I am actually estranged from my children, so I don't really have a good relationship with them, or really kind of a non-existent one, unfortunately. But my ex-family, my ex-in-laws, I guess you could say, they definitely use Christmas as a time of competition.
My ex-in-laws, because they were significantly more well off than my parents were.
Yeah, it was used as the holiday was used as like a manipulation type thing, because like and just like real quick little tidbit of his history on me. Like, I'm not a traditionalist, and I haven't been in fucking, like, I don't know. I stopped being a traditionalist, I think, when I moved out of my house, when I joined the Air Force. Besides, like, traditions, I was contractually obligated to, of course, like being, but when it come to like personal, like in my personal life traditions, I wasn't a traditionalist. Never really been a Christmas person. But when I got married, Christmas was important to my then wife. But she understood. Well, I thought she understood, but she knew I was what I told her I wasn't a traditionalist. But I was okay setting up, discovering traditions within our own dynamic,
making new traditions. You know, my ex-wife, her big Christmas thing is Christmas Eve, not Christmas Day.
Yeah. So, and that was fine at the beginning, but when we ended up moving to Oregon, it was, my ex-wife was also a people pleaser, especially to
gotta look good to everybody around.
Yeah, and there was a lot of demanding from that woman toward me.
It goes back to that keeping up with the Joneses mentality right there.
So it was a conflicting time in my life, and and in the last couple years, not this year. This year's I'm actually really good, but the last couple years, the holiday seasons, like starting in August, because that's when like 2 of my kids' birthdays are, and
Yep.
like one in November, one in May, but like during this holiday from like the fall into like almost spring is like the shittiest fucking time. It's like I hated the world at that time. I'm better adjusted now, but
Yeah. But it's been years. It's been years of dealing with that mentality and that mindset for those months and months and months. And I'll tell you right now, my first 4 Christmases post-divorce, my first Christmas post-divorce was a 12-pack of Bud Light and Chinese food by myself for Christmas dinner. That was it. I had nobody. My kids weren't there. I had a tree that my kids had decorated, but I had maybe 6 presents under it. This is going from a living room full of stuff when I was married because my in-laws always made sure my kids never went without, to sitting at a table by myself in a place that I had just moved into in a dead silence with a 12-pack and Chinese food.
Yeah.
I
find it. Go ahead.
It was tough. That was probably one of my lowest points where I actually almost considered that it wasn't worth it anymore.
Yeah. No, I've been in that road. That's one of the reasons why I used to be a gun owner and I don't have anymore because I was in a very, very, very bad spot.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
but on the flip side, now that I'm better, when I do start this van life here later down the road, I do plan on getting a rifle for hunting. But
I would hope so. I would hope you have a rifle and a pistol for self-protection if you're going to be in van life. Bro, the roads are a mean and nasty place. I've driven them long enough, I know.
Yeah. I've been around. I'm not too worried about my safety.
Not uncommon for people to just be shot at driving down the road. So, but that's
I've gotten threatened to get shot just walking through the fucking Dairy Queen parking lot here where I live, and this is a rural
in
fucking
Atlanta.
farm
They
town.
shoot at you while you're driving right next to them. They're like, "Oh, fuck you, pop, pop, pop." You get road rage incidents that turn out gunshots here at least every couple of months. But like
Atlanta, Florida, same.
Yeah, I mean, you get into this time of year, and there really is. There's so much stress, and honestly, I think a lot of it is self-inflicted. We put it on ourselves by trying to hold a standard that oftentimes is fictitious at the end of the day. But no, who cares? At the end of the day, who gives a shit what you did? They're the people that care. And my dad said this to me when I was very young, and it's always stuck strong in my head. Those that mind don't matter, and those that don't mind matter most. Because the ones that judge you for what you do and don't do are not the ones that you want to surround yourself with. You want to surround yourself with the people who support you no matter what happened. And they'll look you in the eyes and tell you, hey, that was fucking stupid.
I gotta push back. Yeah, okay. I was gonna say I gotta push back a little bit.
Like I'll look at Glick when he overdrinks, and I'm like, bro, Sunday when he's hungover as fuck on Sunday, I'll look at him on a Sunday and go, boy, you fucking were a dumbass last night, weren't you? And yeah, my head. Yeah, that was your own dumbass fault. But I was right there to support you through the show. Encourage you to get chugged that next one.
Yeah, act like I was alone in those bad decisions.
Yeah, right.
Oh man, the only thing that messed me up from Saturday night drinking was the eggnog itself on my stomach.
God,
and then
you drank that Saturday night. You drank that quick.
I did, and because the nights when I do drink, I don't take my medicine, and because of the alcohol, it keeps me up. So I was up to like 5 o'clock that morning, and then I'll have to like finally get some sleep. I only get a couple hours, and I'm up all day.
And then you got to cycle yourself back into your medicine and your routine and everything. And then doing it like that creates its own whole level of mental fucktardation sometimes. So
it does if I don't prepare myself. In other words, like if I had something I had to be up for on Sunday and had to take care of, I wouldn't have drank. I would have went on about my routine. But a bump in my routine every once in a while, I think is good because I can't get too comfortable.
Yeah, but I mean, like you said, if you had something to do, you would have known to stay in it. Or if something came up on Sunday morning, you'd have been in rough shape. You'd have been in this situation.
No, I would have been tired, but I wouldn't have been. I wasn't hungover. I wasn't like headache and all that. I mean, I wasn't
But I'm
like
saying
I
your
was pretty
medicine
much
wasn't in
sober.
your system the way it was
Mm-mm.
supposed to have been because you didn't take it.
Mm.
You had you had foreign substances flowing through your system that aren't a regular deal. I mean, doing something like that, yeah, it's as great as it is sometimes. To some people, and what I call the mental fucktardation of it, because it totally messes up your mental state when you don't have a medicine that you're reliant on, not
Yeah.
necessarily reliant on, but a medicine that makes you a better person or more functional or something to that effect.
Mhm.
And you don't take it because you're going to do something different. It's
Yeah.
just like it's like going to a different gas station on your way to work in the morning. You don't know where anything is in that gas station. It's a different stop than normal. It throws you out of your routine. And
So now,
scientifically, we are creatures of habit.
so when it comes to my medicine, I actually changed my medicine. The medicine I was on, it was helping, but it was if I was off of it like more than 3 days and I took a too high of a dose, like trying to get back on it, and if I got a rash, it was like life threatening.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and it wasn't helping my anxiety. It was helping my like depression, but not so much my anxiety. So I switched medicine. And this one, if I'm off of it for like 3 days or a week for some reason, like, yeah, my mood's gonna be fucked, but I'm not putting myself in any risk of like
Yeah.
harm or injury. So
Yeah. And it's amazing. But again, that goes to maintaining that routine is
Mhm.
better for you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Versus throwing that speed bump in it. Now, granted, like you said, once in a while, it's okay. It's
Yeah.
something but you knew how to handle it. You knew you were going to drink with the boys, so you didn't take your medicine.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You gotta. One of the best ways, it is handling depression, is knowing your triggers, understanding your routine, understanding who you are, understanding and this is not something like somebody can just come to overnight. This takes therapy, contemplation, a few medicines necessary. It's finding the right combination, working with your
Medicine is a trial
psychiatrist.
and error process.
Yes. So, and people, and I know some people don't like the medicine. And I get that. Some people I don't think have taken the time to find the right dosage or the right cocktail, I guess. I was going somewhere else with that. Oh yeah. So like being prepared, like understanding, the effects of alcohol on you as a person, how much, know your limit, just stuff like that. I think
Yeah.
goes in the long run or helps in the long run.
I think, and to go with the depression thing, people don't realize on average it takes 45 days for a medication to efficiently work in your system. 45 days. People want this cure all. And that's not how mental health medication works. If that was the case, they'd zap your brain and you'd be fucking normal in a moment's notice. You know what I'm saying? And I use the air quotes because normal is a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
It's a relative term. But if that was the case, they would zap your brain and you'd be normal. But they can't do that. So they try these medication concoctions or cocktails, as some call it. And people don't realize it does. It's a 30 to 45 day time period of routine. And if you're not willing to give it that time, you're not, in my mind, you're not fully committed to trying to adjust your current mental situation. People will be like, oh, 7 days, I don't feel any different. I'm not taking this shit anymore. Or 7 days and I've had a headache for the last 3. I'm not taking this anymore. Yes, your body has a foreign substance introduced to it. That's like taking somebody who's never had caffeine a day in their life and telling them to shotgun a 20-ounce Red Bull. What the fuck do you think is going to happen to them?
Give them a heart attack.
Thank you. But these people expect these changes to happen overnight. And a little secret, much like being a bigger guy, being fat, your mental health didn't get like that overnight. I didn't get like this overnight. None of these things are going to change overnight. And people want this instant cure-all. And I think that creates a lot of animosity towards the big pharma companies. And it also it intensifies the depression when they don't get the result they want in the time they want, because it becomes incredibly discouraging. And that's why most diets fail, because people become discouraged so early on that they just quit doing it because they don't see the results they think they should see in X period of time, because society has given them this mindset of this is how you should be after you do this for this amount of time.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Body perception, one's self-body perception can definitely go into their state of mind or mood. Definitely. I can see how this time of year it could definitely exacerbate that.
How many women do you see freaking, or do you know, even through movies? Oh, I gained 20 pounds over the holidays. You know, we've seen it in movies our whole life growing up. Oh, I can't eat that. They're at a Christmas party. I can't eat that. It'll go straight to my hips. You know, how many times do we hear that saying in some movie growing up?
I do remember. Yeah. I do remember that in some movies. I don't see it too much in like newer movies. The body shaming thing. I think in a lot of ways we have gotten better at that. But not completely, but we've gotten better.
But our generation, it still rings strong. And because as a whole, humans are so judgmental on what's different than they believe is the norm, that's where you end up with the body shaming, the bullying, the stuff. And that truly weighs. My 13-year-old son is ready to basically starve himself and work out 10 hours a day because kids at school are poking at him because he's 5'9" at 180 pounds at 13 years old. Like,
he's 13 though. He can like grow into that.
Oh, he's still probably going to grow 2 more inches. And yes, if you want to lose weight, bro, you're 13. You're at an age where I can allow you to adjust your eating and to work out. If you were 8, I would say, fuck no, you haven't even hit puberty yet. I'm not going to give you that. You know what I mean? Because your body's going to change 6 more times in the next 4 years. But you're 13 years old, you know. Glick, you've heard Wyatt's voice drop in the last 4 years. That kid's gone down octaves. So you're at a point now where if you were playing football at school, they would have you weight training. They would have you training routinely with exercise and stuff. You know, so I'll let you do that now. And I told him, because I gained back a lot of the weight that I lost pre-COVID. I said, bro, first of the year, it's not a New Year's resolution. It's just an easy day to remember that I started on. I will get back into my old routine of doing what I did once already to lose 100 pounds. I said, I'll do it right there along the side of you.
That's what Nikki and I are going to do. I know I've been talking about it, and I just haven't been able to get into a routine. But it's not a resolution. It's just we're going to start. Get past holidays, we're gonna get into the routine, stay in the routine, and we'll have to get through mid-February to get past all the resolutioners because the gym will be packed.
Mid-February, you're going way out. You're lucky if they make it to the end of January. The diehards will make it to mid-February, but the true resolutioners, they usually fall out of the gym by end of January.
Up here, it's usually by the second week of February, right around Valentine's Day, you start to see that. You start to see the numbers start to dwindle down towards the end of January, but you see the big drop off around Valentine's Day. So
one of the big reasons why I loved working out at 3:30 in the morning. Nobody was.
I don't know who Golf Hawk is, but
no, he's excited over a victory in an irrelevant fantasy football league that for whatever reason, once we get to fantasy football, my teams can't produce and I fall apart in the playoffs, even though I
lost, bro. I lost yesterday too.
I had the best record in 3 leagues and I'm battling for third in 2 of them, and probably third. No, yeah. If he'd ever grow a pair and grow up and be a man and join a man's league, then he probably wouldn't fare so well. But when you're in a league where 4 people, there's 10 people, 4 of them are active, and then one's just active out of spite, me being that one because I'm a asshole. And even then, I don't pay that much attention to it. I just make sure nobody's hurt and nobody's on bye week. Outside of that, it's like, I don't pick. I optimize.
But you factor these things into your seasonal depression. You know, you factor the financial stress, you factor the physical stress that your body goes through with the weight gain, the eating, the judgment. You know, there's so many things this time of year that play a role that don't play a role in June, July, and August.
I factor being a Browns fan into my seasonal depression.
Dude, for years, I've been in an abusive relationship with the Buffalo Bills. For the first time ever, it looks like my year-long marriage might actually make it to culmination point.
Yeah. Golf Hog, good seeing you, man. Long time no see. Merry Christmas. And I will diminish and minimize your dominance until you grow a pair and join a man's league and actually do anything.
But there's just so many things that play into this time of year, man, and it makes it so hard.
Big boy league. Yeah, there's a lot.
Just,
I mean,
it's tough.
It's like remember that game when we were growing up? What was it called? On thin ice or whatever. You had like the paper towel and you put it across the tube.
Yeah.
That's basically what we're doing this time of year. There's so many factors, and they just kind of pile onto each other until eventually that quote unquote ice breaks free, and we're in a spiral. You know,
and go ahead.
Yeah, I just say like we find ourselves in that downhill spiral. We find ourselves in funks, and it's a lot easier for me to get out of funks these days than it was a couple of years back. But
There's
nonetheless,
so many things that play into it, though.
Yeah.
And so much of it's beyond our control. Like, one of the biggest things right now that's causing, I would comfortably say, the most depression is the economy. People just aren't making enough money to get by based on the cost of living right now. I make the most money I've ever made in my life and struggle harder than I ever have.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I took quite a substantial pay cut to come back home to Ohio, where the cost of living, which is surprising, the cost of living, I guess not. I mean, the cost of living up here is so much higher than it was down in Charleston. And I'm making...
That is kind of surprising.
Yeah, taxes are different. Things are a lot
coastal
different.
Town, though. You're think coastal town. That's a touristy town. Charleston is.
Yeah, but you also have to figure out a lot of revenue.
Yeah, you got paid according.
A lot of revenue comes into the city and the surrounding areas based off of tourists. So they're also able to keep.
They paid according. Down. Yeah, and they paid according too.
Well, yes and no. But you know, I made the joke when I first got down there. I was making $8 less an hour than what I was making up here when I like the first not quite a year I was there. But I brought home double what I was bringing home here.
Yeah, Texas.
You know what I mean?
Ain't that something?
But I mean, I could have made the same amount of money up here if I'd have stayed with the company I was with down there. The problem is different managers. We had a good branch at Orkin. What I seen from the branch up here, they had their heads up their asses. So, but and that that factors into a lot of things too. But yeah, I mean, the cost of living up here is ridiculous. I get paid on Friday or every other Friday, and I sit down 10 minutes into my shift at work and go, well, it's nice to have that in my checking account for about an hour because it goes all right up the fucking way. As fast as it goes in, it goes out.
Bro, no joke. Last Friday got paid and taking one day off of work fucking eats my check for a ridiculous amount of money. And I was like, I got paid Friday at 8:02. And by 8:40, I was like, well, that was good.
That was fun while it lasted.
Yeah. It wasn't even fun because all it did was pay bills.
I know that film.
Yeah, that's why that's kind of where I was going with that. It's kind of it's just a pile-on effect, man. And this time of year, you can't. There's no escape. Like in the summertime, you can get out, you can go do things, you can grill.
Forget about it for a little while.
Yeah, you can sit on the patio and go to the beach, go to the lake, whatever you're into. Just kind of stuck inside, left to think about all the bullshit. I've never been a big fan of the holidays, especially as I've become an adult. Because growing up as a kid, you remember, oh man, it was like family was always together for Thanksgiving, and then you were always together for like. But as you get older, that starts to dwindle. Or for me, I just don't really associate with my family much at all.
Or for me, I live too far away. The economy's made it where I can't travel home to go see my family if I wanted to.
So like the last, well, I won't say, last 6 years, I kind of get into a funk around the holidays just because I don't really care for them. Now things are getting a little bit different now with Nikki and I being together and whatnot.
And you have a good potential set of in-laws too.
Yeah. And whatnot. I like these potential.
There's still time for her to run away.
Got to find out where I put the key to the padlock. I got her chained to.
Until that license is signed in ink, there's time for her to run away.
Up until the last, well, I mean, even this year, like Thanksgiving, I was alone. I mean, we joked around about me making TikToks on Thanksgiving because I spent the day alone. I cooked my own dinner. You cook Thanksgiving dinner for one, and then you just drink your face off. And by like 6 o'clock, it's like, I'm going to make TikToks. I'm drunk as hell.
Yep.
And then it was the same way with like Christmas. Like the kids would be there on Christmas Eve, but then Christmas morning or, Christmas around noon, they were gone again. So then I just spent Christmas by myself. So it was like, well, what am I going to do for dinner tonight? All right, let's go. Got booze, got some food.
Bro, this year I decided I'm not doing a Christmas dinner. I'm not doing Christmas dinner. I told my kids, I said, look, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get us some hard rolls, some Kaiser rolls. I'm going to get us a bunch of cold cuts. I'm going to get us some chips and dip and a veggie tray. And you can just pick and eat as you choose. Because you're not going to get, by the time I pick you up at noon, we get the hour drive back to my house done. It's going to be 1 o'clock. By the time we get through the gifts and all that jazz, we're looking at 3 o'clock. I'm not starting a Christmas dinner at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm not starting it at 9 a.m. to let it be cooking while I'm gone and hope that it's still cooking when I get home and the house didn't burn down. So we're going to do this for Christmas this year because when I was growing up, we went to my grandma's on Christmas Eve. This is what we did at her house, and it worked out well.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Nikki and I talked about that for Thanksgiving this year because it was just the two of us. We were going to try to go back to go to PA, but it didn't work out with our work schedules and shit like that. It just wouldn't have been worth the trip because it had literally been 3 hours there and then turn around and 3 hours back, But we talked about it. She's like, do you want to do like a traditional Thanksgiving style dinner for the two of us? Or do you just want to get like a bunch of shit and just pick? And I was like, what if you want to cook dinner? We can do dinner, the two of us. And that was the first time she'd ever cooked Thanksgiving dinner. It's like, she's never done it before. And then, wound up being a good night because then my daughter and her boyfriend got home, and we sat up and played games, and Wally fucked around all night. Yeah, it just when you know that the holidays are coming up, and when you know that you're going to be alone, it just really kind of wears on the psyche, because it's just like,
my boss gave us the ability to work from home tomorrow, and I'm like, I'm home by myself. My kids aren't here. Work's going to be super slow.
yeah.
What am I going to do all day? Same thing with Christmas morning. Everybody's like, oh, yeah, I guarantee I wake up to Snapchats, at least 30 Snapchats Christmas morning. When I wake up of people already eyeball deep in presents with their family and stuff, and I'm like, okay, mine doesn't start for another couple hours. I'm glad you had a good morning. Like, I'm going to get up and make coffee at my own leisurely pace. Like, I don't have – last year was different because I lived with Susan. The year before was different because I lived with Susan. This year, I feel like – and I'll be honest, it's been a struggle to get in the Christmas season, to get in the holiday season for me.
Yeah.
Because, again, I sit in the house by myself. And Susan's
So
like, what's up?
So when I have a hard time getting in the Christmas spirit, so to say, or the holiday spirit, so to say, I remind myself that I'm not obligated to. I'm not obligated to get in the spirit to make other people happy. I'm not saying wallow in self-misery. I'm just saying that if you can't get into the holiday spirit, find something else that'll lighten your mood, or you find enjoyment. It doesn't have to be.
I am obligated to. And I have to be super careful how I phrase this so it's not incredibly offensive. But my kids are the reason I'm obligated to be in the holiday spirit, because I don't want to crush them.
Yeah,
they are in that house. They are still at that age where they're super excited for Christmas all the time. If I'm just a Debbie Downer, it's going to take from them, and they're not going to want to be around me.
Yeah.
So I do have to be. I do have a sense of obligation. Now, do I have decorations up all over my house? No. My Christmas spirit is I let my kid do what she loves to do the most. She put my Christmas tree up. And like tradition, the very last thing to go on was the star. And I'm big on that. I was raised, Dad is always the one that puts a star on a tree. So every year since my divorce, I've been the one to put the star on the tree. It's been a different star or a different something or other every year. Last year was a Buffalo Bills Santa hat. This year, we're back to a regular star. So my kids get excited for that, and they really want me in that holiday spirit. So I'm almost obligated to be in that spirit for them, or at least fake it in front of them. But faking it in front of them makes it harder for me when they're not around.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it felt for me. And not so much. And I enjoy doing it. Like I enjoy doing this stuff with the kids. And the last couple of years, well, up until last year, our tree topper was a Thanos gauntlet that I got, and it has LED lights that lights up. The stones light up, and the kids thought that was the coolest thing ever. There's like, you guys, so cool.
This is another thing that really kind of puts a damper on my holiday spirit. And you guys, having both lived in places where it snows and living in places where it doesn't snow.
I was perfectly fine without the snow.
But the snow,
the
snow makes Christmas lights that much better to look at. Yeah. Looking at them with a dark brown background does not give them any sense of attraction. But when you put that white backdrop of a snow behind it, it makes them like. If I go walk through Christmas lights with my kids, odds are it's going to be cold and dry or cold and rainy here. But in New York, if you went through Christmas lights, it was snow, it was lights. You could kind of goof off and throw snowballs at each other. What am I going to do? Pick up a handful of wet leaves and slap my son in the face with them? It doesn't have
I
would.
The snow in my mind has a drastic effect on the brain's perception of how good the Christmas lights look. So because since I've lived down here, I hate going to look at them because they're just ugly. Because there's just darkness behind them.
I will say, I mean, that might be when we lived in Charleston, we always went to one of the parks on James Island, and they did a really good job. I mean, it was one of the drive-through where you drove through and seen all the lights, but then they also had a winter wonderland with Santa's shop and everything like that, and they really made it feel Christmassy.
Yeah,
I gotta jump down, guys. Sorry.
You're good.
You're good, man.
It's cooking time. So I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all have a good one.
Buddy.
Yeah, happy holidays.
We'll
Happy holidays, bud.
Merry Christmas, brother. Shit, yeah.
You know that's been something since I moved south that's really been a big hindrance on my Christmas spirit. You know, and when I was married, it wasn't such a big deal because I had stuff to focus on. I had a family right there. But when you get down to where it's just the nitty gritty, where it's just me right now, dude, I won't turn my tree on until Wednesday. I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, like we always did the decorations and stuff like that. You know, I know the kids enjoyed it. I enjoyed it with them, but it's just that it's. I think that's been all. You know, that's been one of the biggest things. That, and then like this year's Christmas compared to last year's Christmas, not so good. Or you know, like man, last year I was able to do this, or you know, whatever.
There's always that comparison. You're always trying to one up the year prior, almost.
But you know, like my kids are pretty cool, like because one of the things that we've always done is, and I like a lot of families, you'll get up Christmas morning and there'll be a fuck ton of presents under the tree, and they're all from Santa Claus. No, the only thing Santa brings is your stocking.
Yeah, that's same at my house. The only thing that's tagged from Santa is the stocking. Understand? Dad worked his ass off to put that under the tree.
Yeah, and then there might be like one other gift that's from Santa, you know, like one small random thing. Like
if I do that, it's usually a family gift where we can all enjoy it, like a game or something like that.
But
that's my Santa gift.
But it's not only that, but I just didn't want the kids to grow up with like some kind of false narrative, because you know like one Christmas it might have had a really good year and have a lot of extra money to spend, and you go out you get a little bit more crazy with the gifts, but then the next year you're like, oh, you know, it's slim pickings, but you still make do. I didn't want them to have that like, well, why last year did Santa bring us all this stuff, and then this year Santa only brought us a little bit of stuff. You know, like so it's like also it's also a way to keep that, like, because like my son is 11 and he still believes in Santa, and I'm gonna let him believe as long as he wants. I did the same thing with the girls. Right? Yeah, I did the same thing with the girls, and shout out to the girls. They play along with them. Like we did the whole elf thing. They play along with them. They don't ruin it or anything like that.
Fuck that elf.
Well, I got to do something with him, or we got to do something with him tonight.
It's better when he gets older and he doesn't believe, and then you can do the adult themed stuff with the elf. Get him the naked Barbies and the.
I mean, not everything I've done has been kid friendly.
Yeah,
a good chunk of it has been, but not. Like there was one time when the girls were still little, and our elf got really drunk and made a mess in the kitchen.
Yeah. So
and left liquor bottles and beer bottles and naked Barbies laying around.
So I know we're getting ready to wrap this up because I know it's creeping up on 9 o'clock, and I know you probably didn't expect to go to sleep. Oh, do you do? Sorry, bud, I just thumped the dog in the nose with the sun. Do you do what's called a pickle gift?
No, but I think I've heard of that. Isn't that like a gag gift? Or
you hide a pickle. You hide a pickle in the tree, and whoever finds it gets a gag gift.
Nice.
It's called a pickle gift. So you take your pickle ornament and you hide it somewhere there. And as you can see, mine's been through. I think my daughter was 4 and thought it was a real pickle at one point. And got a mouthful of glitter. But you hide the pickle in the tree, and then whoever finds it gets a gag gift. So this year, I'm going to do a ridiculous pair of socks. And that's going to be the gag gifts. Like, they might be Beavis and Butthead, socks where they've got their hair on them.
Yeah. That's cool. I might have to incorporate that.
That's been a tradition in my family since I can remember. My German grandmother told us about it. So it's always been, what kind of ridiculous stuff can you come up with? And you don't spend a lot. It's usually a $20 or less gift.
Yeah.
So it's like, so I gotta hide the pickle on Wednesday morning, and the kids will get something ridiculous for finding it. And it's something so stupid. Like, I could do this. I could literally do this.
Nice. Nikki got me one of those.
Something dumb. Just something super dumb, but it's something that's super funny at the same time.
Food timer. Because it's not enough time.
Boy, I'm glad they gave that guy a pair of shorts.
Nice.
We've all got that text message before.
Yeah. No, yeah, we do. We've always done, our tradition has always been Christmas Eve, you get an ornament and new Christmas jammies.
Okay.
But you never, like you don't know what your pajamas are going to be. Everybody does. Like, so all three of the kids got them, and then Nikki and I will get them as well. Like, so, and we open those on Christmas Eve. That way everybody can go to bed in their Christmas jammies and wake up in their Christmas. And they're not necessarily, very rarely are they ever really Christmas themed. They're just new pajamas at the end of the day.
Yeah. Like, I'm trying right now so hard to find something that is going to work.
Especially because we're in a house full of people that enjoy to be comfy. So a nice new pair of comfy pajamas that you can lounge around in is always a win in this house.
You know what? Amazon's not going to be able to give me anything by Christmas.
Yeah. Considering 99% of the time, everybody in this house is in sweats or a t-shirt anyways when we're home.
Yeah. So,
or shorts or whatever.
But, no, I'm glad that we had the opportunity to I'm glad I came up and we were able to talk a little bit about this. I know it kind of got derailed a bit.
I ain't worried about it. I mean, it's the topic of conversation was good. It's still relevant for the show. It's not like we got sidetracked and spent an hour talking about football or something. You know what I mean? It completely derailed the entirety or the entire relevance of the show.
Yep.
Uh-oh. What was that warning about?
I didn't do it.
We had some drama last night after I got done on the show. I should have told you about that today. Or yesterday after I got done on the show. I should have told you about that today. I totally forgot. But anywho, hopefully after the holidays, we'll get this show back under control. We'll get this show back. Connor will be able to, I will say on Connor's behalf, he started a new job. So that's huge. That's awesome.
I just like poking fun at Connor.
Yeah. He's also back in school. And this is not me putting his business out here. It's something he's talked about and I'm on different shows. But he also started school about the same time he started the new job. And now we're in the holiday season and they're traveling and visiting family and stuff like that. So it's been a little hectic in Connor's world. Hopefully after he gets back from after the holidays and everything like that, Connor will get back into some kind of rotation on Mondays to where the shows aren't going. And if need be, from time to time, I don't want to do it all the time, but every once in a while I'll slide in on a Monday and jump back into the driver's seat. We do appreciate everybody and anybody who listened tonight. Golf Hawk, if you got your ears on out there, feel free to pop in on Sunday night. That's where or Sunday morning. That's where we get into Chatter's Box. That's where we talk all things foosball related. Talk about how I got my ass kicked in 3 leagues.
I made the playoffs and lost miserably, like 173 to like 113.
Yeah, I battled for 3rd place in my league, and like I said, I wasn't paying attention in the podcast league, and I told Derek I was going to take a dive for him, and didn't realize that me doing that was going to knock me out of the playoffs when it did. And I was like, God damn it. Just to get my ass kicked by him in the consolation bracket.
Well, talk about an ass kicking. Green Bay's currently up 21-0 over the Saints.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, they're fucking beating the brakes off them.
Chalk up another win for this guy. I will tell you, I had 3 lone wolves, and I'm 2-1 in my lone wolves.
I'll tell you, Matt Stafford got me 7 fucking points yesterday.
I'll tell you, your fucking boy Josh Allen got me 10 fucking points.
Dude,
we'll talk about that on Sunday.
Both of them coming off of games where they had 40 plus points on the fucking board for their team to get 7 points. Come on now.
Yeah, we'll talk about that Sunday.
Yeah, for sure.
That'll be fun. But anywho, no, appreciate y'all listening. Appreciate y'all hanging out. If I don't get a chance to say, well, I'll get a chance to say it, but I'm gonna say it now. No, I won't get a chance to say it. But Merry Christmas, everybody. Hopefully, you guys enjoy your Christmas with the family, with the kids, with your 12-pack, whatever you may be doing. You know, try to make the best of your day. Enjoy the company that you have, and hopefully, Santa brings you everything you ask for Christmas.
That's right. So,
we appreciate you guys here.
Well, bye, Nikki. Have a Merry Christmas.
Bye, Merry Christmas.
Just because I won't talk to her between now and Christmas. I only chit chat with you. So,
yeah.
So I'll put that out there, and y'all need to win. They need to beat Kansas City. I need them to beat Kansas City. Like, it's a fucking requirement. If you don't show your face.
I mean, I need them to beat them too, so.
Yeah, but I need it for real playoff implications for us.
Yeah.
You guys need it to make the playoffs. I need it for us to get the number 1 seed.
And not have to play them and get knocked out in the first round?
Well, they won't play the first round, so it'll be the second round. Thanks, asshole.
Either way.
Because they're going to buy the first round, fuckface.
Woo, we're going to make it out of the first round this year. Let's go,
we
Buffalo.
First round every year. We seem to make it to the championship game every year. That's it.
Nice.
And if they play like they did last night, they're not going to make it into the fucking after the first round. Because yesterday was a fucking nightmare. But we'll talk about that on Sunday.
Yeah, we'll talk about that on Sunday.
All right, Glick.
All right, man. Have a good night. I'm gonna do my spiel and get the hell out of here.
You too. Merry Christmas, man. I'm sure I'll tell you that before Christmas rolls around. So,
oh yeah, I'm sure.
Catch it. I'm working from home tomorrow, but I'm still gonna be up at fucking 6 a.m. So I'll still be awake.
I'm technically off tomorrow. But I have to go in.
Yeah.
No,
I
think I get double time.
I gotta man the phones for 3 hours in the morning till Shelby.
I just have to go in for a couple hours. So no biggie.
All right, buddy.
All right,
we'll catch you later.
Bye,
everybody.
I gotta do my spiel real quick. So listen, everybody, happy, whatever. Merry Christmas. Yeah, that's what it is.
Happy Monday.
Happy what?
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Yeah, happy Monday. Merry Christmas. We may or may not see you guys Wednesday night. Definitely won't see you tomorrow night, but check out all the shows Monday through Sunday. Mondays we kick off with Speedway Stories and Cold-Blooded Conversations, 6 p.m., hosted by Wally. Right after him at 7 is Men Caring for Men, hosted by Connor and whoever he has with him. Tuesdays is Glick's House of Music. We'll be back in 2 weeks, taking the next 2 weeks off with more guests, talking to upcoming and local artists. Musical.
You're shaking the whole damn camera.
I know. I'm shaking everything. I always do. Wednesdays is What the Fuck News. That's Jeff and myself. If it's in the news and it makes us say what the fuck, we're going to talk about it. And don't forget, we always have your penis report as well, because that's a thing. And Thursdays is Jeff's Garage after the beginning of the new year. He should be on a more regular basis. Friday, Nonsense and Chill. That's Blaze and Jeff watching movies, hanging out, They got new things coming for the new year. And then Saturdays is the main event, Nonsensical Nonsense, with the Open Door Challenge. We dropped the link. We dare you guys to come up and hang out with us as the lunatics take over the asylum. And then on Sundays, and we're getting close to football season being up. However, we may keep it going with other sports. We'll see what's going on. But that's Unnecessary Roughness. That's myself, Rick, and Derek Wayne. And we're making football picks, talking a little college football, and talking a whole lot of shit. Make sure you guys follow us. Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. Shows are live Monday through Sunday on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. And you can listen anytime, any place, all at the Nonsensical Network. Or simply go to bio.link/Nonsensical Network. Make sure you check out the links. We got a brand new one up there. Beauty and the Beard, Creative Corner. That's this lady right over here. You can't see her, but you can hear her. She's making all kinds of goodies. So if you guys want something, need something, hit her up on Facebook. Let her know what's up.
I got all kinds of goodies to show you.
Oh, speaking of which, she's making shirts right now. You can do hoodies, t-shirts, cups. What all can you do? Cups, hats.
Pretty much anything.
Pretty much anything.
Tumblers, coffee mugs, travel mugs, hats, t-shirts, sweatshirts, long sleeve t-shirts, tank tops. And if I wanted to get crafty, there's koozies and earrings and coasters and puzzles and bags and all kinds of shit.
Everything and anything. And you can get your Nonsensical Network gear or something for yourself. That's not nonsensical. You can get anything you want as long as you can make it. With that being said, be good or be good at it. I'm leaving. I'm going to go.
Nonsensical Network, different flavor every day. Movie talks, new flicks hitting the display. Microphone magic, musicians spill the praise. From reptiles to motorsports, burning rubber craze. Football clashes, touchdowns, epic plays. News spinning, catching on the latest phase. Gleaming cars, engines roaring up the pace. Street tales, urban stories we embrace. Tune in, every week diverse. Groove to the beats, let the rhythm immerse. Lyrics flowing, ciphers full of verse. Nonsensical Network, feel the universe. Interviews buzzing, stars in the circuit. Worlds of tapestry, pieces we interpret. Hip-hop to rap, the flow never stagnant. Reptilian tales, nature's arrangement. Cars with muscle, engines with might. Motorsports roaring, speed in the night. Discussions heated, always a delight. Network of nonsense, but the vibe's just right. Tune in, wait for that beat. Flow so seamless, feeling so sweet.